what film festival judges actually look for in the first 10 seconds. Most filmmakers spend months after making a short film. Judges spend about 10 seconds deciding whether it belongs in their festival or not. That gap is the problem. In this video, I'm going to close it. Setup: the reality of festival programming. Here's something nobody tells you about film festivals. A major film festival can receive 5, 10, sometimes 20,000 submissions. A single programmer might watch over 1,000 short films in a season. That means your film doesn't get patient, attentive viewing. It gets a gut reaction. And that gut reaction, it's not random. It follows a pattern. Judges aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for specific things. And if those things aren't there in the first few minutes, the film is out. I'm going to walk you through the 7 things they're actually evaluating. And I'll tell you which ones matter most, because they don't all weigh the same. Criteria number 1, the opening image. The first image a judge evaluates isn't your story, it's your image. The first frame tells them everything about your technical competence. Is it in focus? Is it exposed correctly? Is there intention behind the composition? A poorly framed or poorly lit opening image says one thing: this filmmaker doesn't know what they're doing yet. And the judge moves on. Now, this doesn't mean that your opening needs to be spectacular. It needs to be intentional. A simple, clean, well-composed image with good light, that's enough to say, this person knows what they're doing. Keep watching. Your first frame should be something you'd be proud to freeze and hang on a wall. And here's the thing. Most filmmakers obsess over their story while neglecting this. Your story doesn't matter if the judge never gets to it. A story worth telling. That's the criteria number 2. Once you've passed the image test, the judge starts asking the second question. Does this story need to exist? That sounds harsh. Let me explain what it means. Judges have seen every story. Boy meets girl. Character finds themselves. Person overcomes obstacle. The version of your story matters less than why you're the one you're telling it. What judges respond to is specificity. A short film about grief is forgettable. A short film about the specific feeling of sorting through a dead father's toolbox, that stays with you. The more specific your story, the more universal the intention is. That's the paradox of a short film. Specificity is what makes it belong in a festival. Criteria number 3, sound design. This one surprises people. Sound might be the single most underrated criterion in festival judging. Judges are watching hundreds of films. Bad audio is exhausting. It physically fatigues them. And it signals amateurism faster than almost anything else. I'm not talking about music. I am talking about the quality of recorded dialogue, the ambient soundscape, and the intentionality of your silence. A film with perfect visuals and beautiful sound feels professional. A film with beautiful visuals and bad audio feels like a student project. Invest in your sound before you invest in a new camera. That's not an opinion. That's what I've seen change rejections into selections. We're halfway through. I want to stop here and tell you the one criteria that almost nobody talks about. And it's the one that often decides who wins in awards versus who just gets selected. Criteria number 4, emotional residue. Here's what separates a good festival film from an award-winning festival film. emotional residue. The feeling that stays with the judge after the film ends. When the screening room lights come back on, what does the judge feel? What are they thinking about? Are they thinking about the film? Are they already moving to the next one? This is impossible to manufacture. You cannot engineer emotional residue with technique alone. It comes from one place: authenticity. The filmmakers actually cared about what they were making. Judges have developed an almost instinctive ability to feel the difference between a film that was constructed and a film that was lived in. They can't always explain it, but they feel it. So the question to ask before you submit: does this film have something to say? Or it's just something I made? Criteria number 5, pacing. A film can have all the right elements and still lose judges to boredom. That's a pacing problem. In the short film format, every scene needs to earn its place. If a scene doesn't advance character, advance story, or create tension, it needs to be cut. The biggest pacing mistake I see: filmmakers fall in love with their own shots. A beautiful landscape that lasts 12 seconds. A reaction shot held 3 beats too long. These moments feel meaningful to the filmmaker. To the judge, they feel like padding. The rule of short film pacing is simple: cut earlier than feels comfortable, then cut earlier again. The audience will fill in the gap, and they'll feel smarter for it. There are 2 more criteria, and the last one, number 7, is the one that will determine whether a judge champions your film to the rest of the committee. Don't skip it. Criteria number 6, technical execution. This is where people assume they need expensive gear. They don't. Technical execution isn't about resolution or lens quality. It's about consistency and control. Is your exposure consistent across scenes? Is your color grading intentional or random? Does your camera movement have purpose, or does it wander? Judges aren't comparing you to Hollywood. They're asking, does this filmmaker have control over their craft? A film shot on a budget camera with disciplined technique reads as professional. A film shot on an expensive camera with no discipline reads as amateur. Control is the word. Technical execution is about showing control. Criteria number 7, the director's voice. This is the one that gets films championed inside festival committees. Every judge is looking for a filmmaker they want to follow, not just a good film, but evidence that the person who made this film is someone with a distinct artistic vision. That's called a director's voice, and it's the hardest thing to define and the easiest thing to feel. It shows up in the choices you make that nobody asks you to make. The angle you chose when the obvious angle was something else. The moment of silence when the audience expected dialogue. The ending that doesn't resolve, because life doesn't always resolve. When a judge watches your film and thinks, I want to see what this person makes next, that's a director's voice. And that is what gets you not just selected, but remembered. So let me bring this together. 7 things judges are evaluating from the moment your film starts. 1, your opening image. Is it intentional? 2, your story. Is it specific enough to be universal? 3, your sound. Does it feel professional? 4, emotional residue. What does the judge feel when it's over? 5, pacing. Does every scene earn its place? 6, technical execution. Do you have control? 7, your director's voice. Do they want to see what you make next? None of these requires a big budget. All of them requires a clear vision. If I had to tell you which one to prioritize, start with the sound, start with your opening image, and let everything else serve the story you actually care about. If this helped you, think about your next submission differently. Subscribe. I make videos about the craft of filmmaking every week, and my goal is to help you close the gap between the film you're making and the film you're capable of making. And if you have specific film festival questions, drop it in the comments. I read them all.